quite a while ago, when I was a baby Unitarian Universalist candidate to the ministry, I went to my first Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association's annual meeting. This is where all the ministers get together and talk about the very important work that we do, otherwise known as we kibitz, and get the time to talk to other people who also are on the inside of this very wonderful and very weird job that we have. This was my first day of my first ever ministers meeting. And we had done the programming. I had sat through worship and been inspired and watched people and thought, oh, someday I'm gonna feel really comfortable here. And then it was lunchtime. And me and 3 of my beloved seminary friends went to find somewhere to sit. Big tables, right, for the lunch part of our time together. And we found a table that looked like some of the chairs were taken, there was lunches there, but there was no one sitting there. It seemed like there was room for us. So we sat down and started, so exciting. And then a group of people come over to our table. And this group included basically the biggest names in Unitarian Universalist ministry there are, who I will not name because they're about to look bad. This group of really big deal ministers come up and we're just sitting there like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And they all kind of look at us and we look at them, and then one by one, they start to make excuses for why they have somewhere else to be. Except for one, God bless him. I will love him forever for just sitting down and talking to us. And look, it's been almost 20 years since this happened, and most of me just uses it as a reminder that when someone new comes to my table, I should probably be nice to them. A lot of me can have a great deal of sort of empathy for this group of people who just wanted to sit and gossip with their friends, not lead the next generation. The longer it's been, the funnier the story becomes, but I can still remember in my bones that feeling, which was like a giant error message going off in my brain. Mistake, mistake, mistake. There was a rule that I didn't know. This was not our table, this was not our place. And we put ourselves in the wrong place and at the wrong table. It is a feeling that I like to refer to as the middle school cafeteria feeling, as a shorthand when talking to friends about that feeling when you're somewhere new and you just don't quite know where to go or what to do. I want you to sit for a minute and remember a time where you were somewhere new that mattered a lot to you. Maybe it was middle school, maybe it was a first job, maybe it was the first time you walked through these doors. And that feeling when you get to the lunchtime or the coffee hour or the drinks after work, of not being quite sure what you're supposed to do. Some of us are better at this moment than others. The extroverts of the world, the people who've moved a lot. But I think all of us know that feeling of uncertainty of where we're supposed to go and what we're supposed to do. Sometimes that uncertain feeling just keeps us from doing new stuff at all. Has anyone here ever just been like, that seems like too much, I'm just gonna stay in my comfortable spot with the people I know, doing the things I know I'm good at? Just like 5 of us? Okay. Sometimes it keeps us from doing things we want to do. But I think more often than not, what it actually does is makes us try and get past newness as quickly as possible. So when we're in a new situation, when we're at the first day of class or the first coffee hour, we try and like speed up that part where we don't know what's going on or what to do to get to the part where we're comfortable. There's utility in this. It's easier to feel comfortable. But I also think that we give something up when we rush past that in-between phase too quickly. Have you ever watched someone who is obviously a tourist trying to pretend they weren't a tourist? Like not looking at their map or just kind of doing like this action down here, like, oh, where am I going? Oh, right over there. Trying not to look with too much awe and wonder around them, because that's like definitely a sign that you don't belong. The thing is, when you do that, you miss all the things you're there to see. If you're spending all of your time pretending you already know what's around, you don't actually get to notice what's around. And I think in new places, if we spend our time trying to convince ourselves that we already know where we are, we miss seeing where we are. We miss the invitation to pay attention. I have been here for 18 days. You know I'm new because I can still tell you the number. And I have been living in the tension between wanting to just be past this part already. I would like to know all of your names. I'm really sorry I don't. Please keep telling me. The tension between wanting to know what's new and also the real gift that comes from seeing a place for the first time. And some of that is the gift of seeing things that maybe need a little work. We'll talk about that. But there's also the gift of seeing you clearly for the amazing things you do that I think sometimes you forget. So I want to tell you a couple of things about you from my absolutely correct vantage point as a new person. You folks are amazingly, incredibly generous. And that starts with this building, right? And all of the ways you have contributed to make this building. And I want to sit with that for a second, because I don't think you quite get what a big deal it is. Because in a moment where most UU churches who I visit are figuring out how to make themselves smaller, y'all decided to figure out how to make yourselves bigger, how to take a bold chance and say, we can be more. And that is literally the reason I accepted this job when offered to me, because of this big, bold, generous choice you have made. But it's not just the big, bold generosity. Who was here for the auction last night? Who is irritated that I haven't gotten around to telling you how much money we raised? Big reveal. So last night we came together, we ate some chili, we had our paddles, and we raised over $9,000. And that in and of itself is beautiful, but here's the part that amazed me. We bid on things. Some lucky soul gets a topic of their choice of a sermon. Look forward to that one. People had desserts and excellent chili. And then Mark stood up and said, okay, now you're just going to give us some money. And you did. $2,300 of that $9,000 was just you saying, this is a thing worth giving money to. This is a thing worth supporting. I have been to a lot of UU church auctions. That's not how they go. There is a spirit of ownership and generosity in this community, and I think we can do amazing things with that. This is a community that is deeply rooted in place, which is kind of a funny thing to say about a church that has only been here for 2 years? Year and a half? 3 years. 3 years, okay, thank you. See, I'm new, I don't know these things. But there's something very rooted in the community that I'm observing and that I can't quite put my fingers on, but yesterday during the auction when we had those doors open, and I imagine people walking by and hearing us, I have a vision of a time where there are people wandering into the streets from hearing our music or a snatch of a prayer, kind of a like Sister Act moment for those of you who are of my micro generation. And finally, man, y'all are busy. There's a lot going on in this church. Like I said, I have been here for 18 days and I have been to a worship committee retreat, a new member class, I have a board retreat in about an hour. We're going on retreat in 2 weeks. We had the annual auction. Am I missing anything? You do a lot of very cool stuff. And sometimes I think we do a lot of very cool stuff to get past that in-between feeling a little bit of not being quite sure where to go or what to do. So in the coming weeks and months, I'm going to invite you to sit with me in the newness, my newness, whatever lets you be present to this place fully, to imagine what it would be if we slowed down a little, how we want to use all of that generosity and all of that rootedness and all of that busyness to make something beautiful together. It's a beautiful place, getting to see something with fresh eyes. When you have a little one, you get to see things through their eyes, and in the coming weeks, I invite you to see this community through mine, as someone who is new and is seeing your beauty for the very first time. May it be so. Amen.